Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Heyo.
This is the Ahsoka After Show presented by the Jedi Archives, presented by the Virtual Cantina. Today we're going to talk about episode or part 3, I think they call it. Or is it
Part 4. It's part 4.
It's our third episode, part 4.
Yep.
My name's John.
I'm Bryce.
And I'm Mike.
All right, guys. Let's. If you haven't watched any of the haven't watched this at all, watch our previous episodes. Please comment. Tell us what you guys think. Let us know if you're crazy, insane, all that good stuff. Because we have a lot of questions out there we sent to people, so we'd like to get feedback on it. All right, we're gonna get right into it, guys. Initial reactions.
I loved it.
I did.
Best
I did
episode
too.
from all of them to date.
Best episode so far. I think
Of
that's
any
pretty,
series released to date, like you're putting it.
any series.
You're putting it
In
on the gold
Ahsoka
podium.
shows, of the Ahsoka shows that we've seen
Okay.
to date, parts 1,
Yeah,
2,
it
3, and
doesn't
4.
beat
4 is the best.
Season. Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is the
Yeah.
Ahsoka after show, not all the Star Wars shows after show.
Well, I had to ask because you did say this was the best show out there. That's what you
The
said,
best.
pretty much.
I said the best episode of all the ones in this show. Yeah, so
I definitely
I didn't
agree.
hear the end of the show.
This episode was just easily, I think, going to be most people's favorite so far. Little tidbit though, it wasn't directed by Filoni, but the next episode is directed by Dave Filoni. So I was like, this one's going to be even better. So I'm super excited for that. But
A little bit longer runtime, I think, next week too, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I
yes.
didn't check that out.
I think
And a
it is.
theatrical release too. I'm on the wait list because LA, of course, booked up.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
There's
cool.
some-
My
yeah,
hometown
cool.
isn't going to get anything like that. We've got an AMC, but we're not big enough to draw the crowd.
Wish it was in more theaters. It was only like 12 theaters, something like across the entire United States.
Oh, wow. So, that's selective.
Yeah, it was pretty,
okay.
It was not a lot.
That makes sense.
I only saw 5.
That makes sense.
5 theaters? No, it was like 12, something like that. But it was just like, there was one in California, all in California. And then there's like one in Texas and one
there's
in
one
Seattle.
in Disney Springs. There's one in Chicago.
Yeah.
There's one in Boston.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah. Obviously, I'm just going to get out and say it. We finally got to see him. Anakin. Yeah, just come on.
Sorry.
Super excited.
We're going straight to the end.
I'm going to go through the episode
backwards.
later, but I have to talk about this. I think everyone has to talk about
it's coming up in my notes. Okay, I'll shuffle down.
Oh, you want to hold off on it?
No. You already brought it up.
It's the elephant in the room. It's just,
you let the cat out of the bag. So let's jump to the Hayden. Let's jump to the Hayden.
Dude, that's what everyone's going to talk about, really. I was super excited to see him. I'm super happy. He does look de-aged like all the other de-aged characters have so far. So there's a little deep fake fuzziness going on.
But I think I think that's a result of all the complaints of how old he looked in the scenes in Kenobi when he was the Anakin with Obi-Wan. The flashback, because Obi-Wan looked good, but then all of a sudden Anakin looked older than Obi-Wan. His face looked weathered. And so I think they got the feedback from that and said, we better de-age him because these finicky fans. But I don't care. I'm going to tell the truth. I did tear up at that scene. I did. It was very emotional for me. I teared up. And I don't know if it's my feminine side or what, but I loved it. I definitely teared up, and I loved that scene. I thought it was so good.
That's cool.
Despite the fact that it's the World Between Worlds, and we all know I'm not a fan of World Between Worlds, but the way they used it, if they stick to just this, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about theories about that? Or wait till that's later.
Well, I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a scene that led to it.
You think she's dreaming, or you think she's really there, or
she's there? She's in the World Between
Worlds.
So
I think. All right. So yeah, this is going to be the first time someone's just appeared there. So it's going to be very interesting.
Well, I was analyzing that and thinking, you know what? She was in that that Stonehenge area, right? Where the Night Sister magic, and it did have that shield up, so something was going on with the Night Sister magic, and she was like at the pinnacle of it. It looked like if you looked at it from the aerial view, it was like a little portal entryway, so it had like a little walkway out. So if you look at the shape of it, it looked like it was a definite uh, going somewhere. And so I think that because that whole portal must have been open due to the magic and everything going on, that she fell into it when he pushed her back, and she fell into the world between worlds. But also Ahsoka has she's got the Morai, right? Because she was brought back from the dead by the sister, and in the Mortis arc. So she does have that. She's kind of like a demigod in that respect. So
yeah, that's a little beyond my knowledge. It's a little intense. I'd have to. It's a lot.
And I read somewhere that the world between worlds is also known as the Virgin's Scatter. Have you guys heard that? So it's referred to as the Virgin's Scatter. And we've heard the word virgins before when they talked about Anakin, that he was a virgins.
Huh. Yeah, it's a little new to me. I was thinking she's just sleeping. It's just dream.
Well, she was asleep at the beginning of it, but
opposite ends of the spectrum right here.
So Jonathan thinks it's a dream sequence. I think she's in the world between worlds. Okay.
All right, Bryce, comment
in the chat if you're team Jonathan or team Mike. Comment in the chat.
Team Mike.
So what do you think's going on, Bryce?
I kind of almost felt like when she went off the cliff, it was like watching Black Widow fall in Avengers Endgame. A little bit, but obviously who woke up in the next realm was Jeremy Renner, not, So I don't know. I don't know if she's dreaming or if she is, how do I put it? Somewhere in I'll use Harry Potter as an example, right? We all know Voldemort actually killed Harry Potter, but he had the Resurrection Stone. And
I didn't know that.
Dumbledore actually gave him, right, a choice. You can stay or you can go. And I think that might be something that plays out. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think she's, going to come back and find a way to not only get with Hera and find a way to track the Eye of Sion. Obviously, we know at this point they're going to find Thrawn, but do they find Ezra? What's Sabine's fate? Those are a lot of questions now that I have. The whole Sabine thing. We could talk probably for a good few hours on that one.
That's in my notes too.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
That one got me. Yeah, that one got me.
Yeah. I do want to add one thing though. Did you notice that when Anakin was there, the music behind him was the Vader theme?
Oh, that was one of my notes. And it says Annie plus Vader music.
Yeah,
I also
so it's
I watch it and then I usually
two.
watch it again with subtitles and the audio, whatever
Descriptive
it's called,
audio.
where they help you out.
Descriptive audio.
And it said, I think it says Darth Vader music or Darth Vader theme. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah. So that was pretty cool. Any theories on what's going on with Anakin? Why is he there? What's going on? Is he really there, or is this a Force Ghost?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Obviously,
she's sleeping, like she's dreaming. So I'm like, she's been there. She's dreaming of a place she's been, dreaming of someone. Like, is she really in the world between worlds? And is she really with Anakin? That's kind of like, that's another level of crazy.
Yeah, or is this the part of Anakin that never fully turned to the dark side? Or if this is like that, where he always had struggled of always going fully to the dark side, What if this is that little remnant of Anakin that's, still good?
See, and I think that this is Anakin's Force ghost after he's already died. Because remember, at the end of his arc in Return of the Jedi, at the very end, after Vader dies, he comes back as a Force ghost as Anakin because he reverts back to the last moment he was a Jedi. So I think
I don't remember that at all. He was,
so
he was
this with
old,
him,
Anakin. You're
no, he
talking
wasn't.
about that new stuff. You're
That's the
talking about
canon.
I'm talking about the original
Excuse me,
Star Wars.
this is not an
Never
EU
happened.
Legends
Never
show.
happened.
This is a canon Disney show. So
Never happened. Never happened.
yes. So this is with him having the Vader music behind him. It shows that it's the entire Anakin, his whole span of his existence, from fall to the dark side to redemption. And so this is the redeemed Anakin. So it's him once he's been redeemed, and he reverts himself. So it's his Force ghost, but in the world between worlds, there is no past or future. It's just everything's in the moment. So they all
Do you think
coexist
that there's
simultaneously.
more than just him walking the world between worlds? Could Obi-Wan, could Yoda be there?
They
Could
all have access to it. Yes,
Qui-Gon? It's interesting because
because World Between Worlds, remember, is not a. There is no time. It's all times at once. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do hear. I think we do hear Yoda in the World Between Worlds, right? Or is that in Rebels?
Ezra hears him. Mm-hmm.
Along with Kanan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think we'll find out a lot more in about a week's time. But
less than a week because our show's on Friday. So, 4 more days. 4 more days, and we'll find out.
Right.
All right. Are we ready to just get into our notes and nitty gritty of this episode? You guys still have comments on Hayden.
Bryce?
I thought it was great. Sarah loves Hayden, so like, soon as the whole thing and she heard him behind, like, she like, it hit her like, oh my God, he's here.
You know what?
She was very excited. I'm like, I told her it was coming. Like, I didn't know what episode, but I knew he was going to be in the show. He's even said he's been in the show back in the day.
So what about this theory? I just kind of thought about it right now. It could have been exact situation how she was saved the first time. She didn't go through a portal or something. She was pulled through a portal.
Ezra
so maybe
pulled
she's
her.
fallen off a cliff and Anakin pulled her off from dying.
Maybe.
She didn't enter in anything. She was just saved by Anakin.
That's a good one.
Something to think
about.
That. Yeah. I mean, that makes more sense than the demigod, whatever weirdness Mike's talking about.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
the first time, because you know what? She's never gone into the World Between Worlds. She's been pulled into it by Ezra.
Yeah.
So maybe Anakin pulled her in, and that's why he said hello, Snips.
Yeah.
Because he did say hello.
And honestly,
Snips.
He would have pulled Kanan too, but if he would have pulled Kanan, they would have died because he was stopping the fire. So that's why they didn't pull Kanan. Right. So I'm thinking they kind of found a little cheat code. If they can save someone, they can. So it's kind of pretty cool.
Well, because in this instance, by him saving her from falling off the cliff, no one else. If she had died, she didn't save anyone. So if she lives, no one is jeopardized. So yeah.
I think it's
the only reason I don't think he pulled her is because of how he followed up the greet with, I didn't expect to see you so soon. So I don't think he did it.
That what he said? I thought he said, why did it take you so long?
I thought he said, I didn't expect to see you so soon.
Maybe I said that wrong, heard it wrong. Or remembered it differently.
Yeah.
That's why
maybe
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was saying maybe he wasn't didn't think she was gonna come to her end so soon, so he had to save her. Maybe just assuming she was going to die natural and see her as a Force ghost later.
But we did have a moment though where we've had this Ahsoka that's very guarded have a moment of weakness, which is what led to this moment, right? As soon as Shin showed up, Ahsoka automatically thought Sabine was dead. And that when that wasn't the case, like, you could see a motion creep in on Rosario's face, and then once Sabine had come back, and was holding the map in the hand, then it became there, and that's when Balin took advantage of that.
Which does show that Ahsoka does care about Sabine. She really does care about her deeply.
Yeah.
Yes. So even though Sabine thinks she doesn't care about her, she's wrong. Ahsoka cares very deeply for her.
Yeah, and that was kind of like her downfall in this episode was that right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Batman cares very deeply for Robin, but won't show it to Robin. It's more for her being Batman.
Jonathan,
the Lego Batman?
On the nose.
No, so wait, hold on. So this, my first note was total Batman scene when they're outside the. Well, I have to because we kind of segued into the Batman of her. The first scene, really, they're outside the ship, and she says, "If we can't get the map, no one should have the map." Pretty much saying that's sacrifice Ezra. I'm like, dude, that's Batman again. It's like, what's the greater good? It's really, I'm not going to risk the universe for one person. And so, God, that's Batman. Stop it. Going. Sorry, the dogs are.
You know what? Ahsoka really does embody like the heart of the Jedi Order. She really does, because she really believes that. She believes in like the High Republic, Stellan Geo sacrificing himself for the greater good. I mean, I would have loved him not to die, but he had to save everybody else. And so that's like at the heart of the Jedi Order. And I think Ahsoka really embodies that deeply. And so she believes it, she lives it, she is it. And so I props to her. She's very, very invested in her beliefs, her belief system. Even though she's no longer a Jedi, she does have, that's part of her core.
So. She tries to not let relationship cloud her judgment. And we'll see with the Sabine thing if that does, but she really does try to be, like you said, more of Jedi than other Jedi.
And maybe that's why she's trying to be standoffish with Sabine, trying to be standoffish so she doesn't build that relationship with the individuals.
Yeah.
You know, being guarded to say no. Because I'm reading the I just finished reading The Rise of the Red Blades, and in that story, it's a lot about the Padawans, the younglings, and how they grow and how they're not supposed to build established relationships, but they do because they have feelings. And so it's a fundamental flaw within the Jedi Order to not allow them to build relationships.
Especially if you're encouraged to be compassionate. It's
right.
Being compassionate, it's hard to stop.
When she mentions it she mentions it to Din Djarin about Grogu too, because Grogu had formed an attachment to Din.
Right.
Not only did she sense the fear, but the fact that he had the attachment, and one of the reasons why she did not want to train him. I think that was one of the same things with Sabine, right? There was an attachment forming there. It could have been on her part, could have been on Sabine's part. But she sensed this fear in Sabine. She also knew how much Ezra meant to Sabine as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of correlations, but then I think she didn't realize that she had built that attachment until she thought Sabine was dead. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of clicked into her like, oh no.
And I hear Luke.
He's one with the Force. The Force is with him.
All right, man, they were just having a blast.
Can we go to our notes now?
Yeah, we can go to our notes. I had to segue.
Mike's got something on there. Mike's got something he's itching to talk about.
Well, I'm going to beat under the punch. I'm going to beat under the punch on something. And this is for Spencer. She said it. Thrawn is heir to the Empire.
Well,
Spencer's like, who's going to be the one who says it first? So
she says that she says they have to prevent him from coming back as heir to the Empire.
Yeah, right? she said Thrawn is the heir.
Yeah, Thrawn is the heir to the Empire, just like Tim Zahn said it in 1991. So yes, and that's up at the top of my notes too. So my first note was just to recap, Sabine's trying to contact Home One at the beginning of the episode, right? And Home One is Hera, so I like that callback. She's still Home One. And then Ahsoka tells Sabine that if they can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should. And we were mentioning that. So sacrificing finding him to prevent Thrawn from coming back as heir to the Empire. Connecting us back to the Legends Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn, which I absolutely love. That's one of my absolute favorite trilogies. And in my heart, in my mind canon, those are episodes 7, 8, and 9. So there's that. Next part after that, Ahsoka does leave Huyang outside to work on the ship. And an HK-87 assassin droid is watching him in the distance. We see him. And then we have those wonderful wipes. So all these callbacks to the original George Lucas films, right? With those wipes, like you mentioned before. It's a great wipe. And Shin tells Baylan that they found Ahsoka's ship because, of course, the HK-87 reported. And then he instructed her to leave with Marok, right? To go because Elsbeth says, oh, they won't be able to hold them. And then Baylan says, yeah, but, Shin and Marok will. So he sends them back and they go. Then we have that awesome fight scene between the droids, which is awesome.
That was one of my notes.
If we are going to talk about Hu Wang and his boxing skills, we're going to have issues.
I definitely, that's one of my notes.
Hu Yang is a really old Jedi. Okay, he's a Jedi.
Hu Yang is awesome.
I'm like, yeah, he's awesome. But I'm thinking, you know what? How is Hu Yang a Jedi when he's not a sentient being? And
I don't remember who said he's a Jedi.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Where does he?
Well, how does he train the younglings to build their lightsabers? How is he part of the Jedi Order? He's been part of the Jedi Order for thousands of years.
He's a staff member.
A staff member that,
for a lack of a better term, I kind of feel like that's exactly what he is.
On how to put together a lightsaber with the.
But he archived all that. After they built it, he archived what each lightsaber was for each Padawan that came through. That's how he was able to say, that's Baylan's. I don't know whose that is, because Shin was never part of the Jedi Order.
He taught them how to put it together. And to put it together, you have to use the Force. So how can he instruct somebody on using the Force? How does a non-Force user instruct somebody on how to use the Force if you're a non-Force user?
I think you can tell them. He just doesn't show them. He can tell them. He can give them instructions. He just doesn't do it.
I mean, I see where Mike's coming from on this, because he does say
we'll see.
Sabine's, aptitude of Force was the lowest he's ever seen. But I don't think they ever really go into
But you know what?
Chlorines.
You're right. It could be that he's just looking at the reports. It could be that he's just looking at what she's based on what his observations are. So I agree. Fine, he's just staff. That's fine. But he's awesome. And
he starts
fighting him,
right?
He starts fighting with his extra little 2 arms. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, I know. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it in Star Wars, but droids actually fighting each other. So I'm like, this might be a first. Especially, I think it's definitely first.
Have you not watched Solo? A Star Wars story?
What
droids
happened?
were fighting droids.
Yeah, they
had the rebellion.
Cage matching.
They're fighting against droids. I thought it was droids against.
Yeah, because L3
L3
was so proud of herself for starting the droid rebellion
in the Fight Club. Remember? In Fight Club,
I remember she turned all the droids.
Not on Kessel, but
all the droids.
It was on
some.
Well, she did the droid revolution on Kessel, but the fighting thing was where they went and find Lando.
Oh, you're talking about the Fight Club. Oh, yeah.
When they got the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
Yes.
So
I can't remember the name.
But the droids were fighting against droids, and she was so pissed off. L3 was so mad because they were saying you're being abused. They were taking advantage of you. So yeah.
I don't remember much of that movie. It's that.
I love Solo.
I couldn't see most of it. It's too dark.
It's on Disney Plus. You can see it now.
It's so dark. I didn't turn up the brightening on it. My next note, I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead, is we finally got to see the ghost, which I thought was
my
awesome.
next note too. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm super happy about that.
Prior to that, though, what led up to that was Hera disobeying orders, which Bryce had called
We knew that was gonna happen.
yeah, but Bryce called it out. He said she's going to disobey orders. We had that discussion, so we were right on target. And she disobeys orders, taking Jason with her and Chopper on the Ghost. And then I think that this makes the first live action appearance of the entire Ghost in flight, because I think we saw it, but partially in Rogue One when it was just.
Well, we saw a lot of it in Rogue One, especially flying around Scarab. You see it a lot,
but not as much detail as we did here.
No, correct.
This one was like in a lot of detail. Like it's very clear. Like wow, that's.
But it's definitely engaged in the battle.
And we also saw it in Rise of Skywalker too at the end. That's true.
Yeah,
those are all like teasers, nothing like
teasers, glimpses, right? But this was main feature. It's like the Millennium Falcon itself. So I love it.
It was great.
Great. Is it wasn't really like revealed. We're just on their ship, and like if you weren't a fan, you wouldn't even kind of caught it. You're like, oh, we're on the ship. So I would like to have been like, there she is, and you just like hands up, and you see all her majestic, but they didn't really have that. It was just kind of we're here, but still super happy to see it. I just kind of wish we would have had that little.
I think it was
moment.
The first episode when Ahsoka's docking her ship. You can actually briefly see it before I'm in. So, like, if you catch it just at the right time, you can actually see it's parked in the same spot it was parked when we got to actually see the full thing today in the same spot.
Yep. And then I think Spencer was right that having Spencer had called it in our. I was at the support group before the show, and he said, "Well, if we see the ghost, it might give that little push to help us unlock all the other final purchases for the Ghost on HasLab," and it sure did it. So we've unlocked all of them. We're getting Zeb, which was my goal, because I love Zeb. So we've got all the figures that come with it that were listed.
Hashtag where's Zeb?
Oh yeah. So if you're watching now, you already know that's already happened. It's Friday here. But yeah, it's super excited to get that. Thank you guys for all participating in that. Yeah. 2 notes on her taking off, though. I did say when she left, I thought it was a little irresponsible to take her son. I was like, leave him safe.
That's her son, though.
She already left the episode before, or 2 episodes before left him. Now she's going to leave him to go on a battle? I was like, that was a little irresponsible. I would have just left him again.
She's not going to go on a battle.
I still think there's a bigger picture. I think there's a bigger picture there. Like I said, with her disobeying, I think it's also her path to just becoming a mother. Like that was the other thing I kind of said. I think at the end of the show, she goes away from the New Republic period and just settles down with Jason and becomes. I think this is the start of that journey. She's going to go help her friends, and then when she is done helping her friends, she is going to go raise Jason and be a mother.
She's resigning. Yeah, and I think that this is in contrast to Nora Wexley from the Aftermath trilogy, where we learned that she left Snaps, her son, with her sister and her sister's wife. So Nora Wexley abandoned her son for his protection. And he was always if you read the Aftermath trilogy, you know that he was very hurt by that. And he resented his mother for that. So he didn't see that she was trying to keep him safe. He saw that she abandoned him. And I think that Hera is showing us a different type of mother. And I think you're absolutely right, Bryce. She absolutely wants to settle down with him and be a good mother to her son, because she's already lost Caleb or Caleb Doom.
No, you can say Caleb, but Kanan's the same person.
Yeah, so I think that for sure.
Your Nora thing is a pretty good analogy, but the motivation for Nora leaving Snap was because her husband had been abducted by the Empire.
But even after they find him, I mean, she never really comes back to claim him.
No, because she had given up on him, and then there was that thing with her and Wedge.
Right, but the point is that she never was committed to being a mother to Snaps. Right. Never. And so that had a very detrimental effect on his psyche, and I think he's got a lot of hurt. And I think that Hera is not that type of a mother, and she realizes she could go down that path, very easily, but I think she's making a choice of, look, I've devoted myself to all these things. I've told them that there's dangers coming back. No one's listening to me. They're going to bring another war. That's it. I've got to pull my son and myself out of this. And I think she's getting to the point where she's going to help her friends, because I don't think she was planning on going to fight a battle. She's going to go find her friends.
Right.
And she's not going to go fight a battle. I mean, she's always ready for a fight, but that's not the goal. Yeah.
But we kind of said during.
I was going to add.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, we kind of find out that she knows he's capable of more than just being a kid, right? Because, like, he does say that one line, I have a bad feeling about this.
That's one of my notes.
That was one of my notes too. So, okay, but getting back to my notes, when she does leave,
no, I wasn't done with my notes. Remember it too.
Okay, go. But don't go into Carson Teva.
I don't.
Okay. Why? You got to roll into Carson Teva.
Because that's in my notes next.
I'm just saying, I definitely disagree on the first word we talked about. I think it's irresponsible. She's a bad mother. I'm done with that. We'll disagree.
Comment in the chat. Team Jonathan, Team Bryce and Mike.
So I guess I let Mike say his thing because mine's a comment on that about the Carson.
Oh, good. Teva. So accompanying Home One is Carson Teva, Captain Carson Teva, with the 4 other X-Wing pilots. I loved it, including our friend of the show, Brendan Wayne, as Lander. Love him being in the show, showing his face. Of course, he's always been the Mandalorian, but behind the mask. He's got that swagger. We also get the Rodian pilot, Jensu, played by Don Denninger. We have Basie, played by Michael C. Alexander, who was flung around in the wake of the Eye of Sion, along with Mowat, played by Chow Naumova. So those 5 X-Wing pilots. And did you notice how when they were clustered around the Ghost, it kind of looked like the emblem for what was that show that was going to have Gina Carano?
Rangers, the New Republic.
Rangers. You know how they have that? It makes like that star figure. They were.
Oh, that's a good catch, Mike. No, you're right. Yeah, that's spot on.
So when I saw
that's probably a formation that they practice.
I loved it. Looked really good because it was that star formation with the Ghost in the middle. Loved it.
Yeah, I actually thought I didn't think we were going to get Zeb in the series. I have said that multiple times. But when Carson pulled up, I actually thought.
Bryce, your light went out.
Yeah, Bryce. Sure did. You're in the dark.
I don't know what happened. Can't see you. Then I kind of expected Zeb to show up after seeing Carson Teva. And then I got a little disappointed that he wasn't in one of the X-Wings. Then I remember, I didn't expect him to be in the show anyway. So I went through a roller coaster there in that scene.
He needs to have a reveal like they didn't do for the Ghost. He needs to walk through a doorway, we're home type scene. Not say that, but something like that. Not just he's here. Right? They need to reveal him too. I think.
Well, I want to see Zeb with Callus though, because we all know they're married. So I want to see Zeb with Callus.
Is there a book on that?
You know what? They're right here.
Oh, there is a book on it.
Zeb and Callus right here. In the same box. It's called the Wedding Collection.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Callus. Easy boy.
It looks a little more like a coffin. All right, so what?
Spencer would be so proud of you, Mike.
One note when Captain Teva, they all showed up right there. He said, "Phoenix leader." So I thought that was cool because no one's gonna know that but us.
That's my next note.
That's cool. I beat you too. I know it's gonna.
But before that, he does say, "Once a rebel, always a rebel." Right.
So. Yes, he does, which is...
And then he says, on your signal, Phoenix Leader. That's the call sign. But listen to this background on Phoenix Leader. That was the call sign attributed to the lead pilot of Phoenix Squadron until his death during the Imperial blockade of Ibar. Hera was promoted to Phoenix Leader by Commander Jun Sato upon recommendation by Kanan Jarrus. Phoenix Squadron ceased to exist due to the casualties at the Battle of Adelon, but Hera continued to hold the title within the Rebel Alliance, leading the attack on Lothal with it. So, love Phoenix Leader, call sign.
So I have a question. Do you think those 5 pilots are like Rangers and they can kind of patrol wherever they want in the galaxy, or do you think they're breaking orders too by joining her?
Well, Carson Teva is a Ranger.
Yeah, Carson Teva is a Ranger.
So you think he's breaking orders, or you think he's allowed to go wherever he wants?
No, I think Rangers are allowed to go wherever they want. So they're accompanying her because
he questions her move about disobeying orders. Then so maybe he just decided, you're doing this for the right reasons, we'll go with you.
But remember,
because he's a Ranger, that he can do that, and he's just questioning her to make sure, like, are you sure you want to do this?
Because Rangers do have that leeway. They can do what is the right thing to do to establish safety within the perimeters of the New Republic. So
okay, so that's really who she should have reached out to first to help her then.
Well, no, because she's a general. So, I mean, they can go. She shouldn't be going. So
there needs to be someone who can patrol, a cop, as you could say,
the Rangers,
an officer, and say, "Hey, they just ran off with the largest hyperdrive I've ever seen from a crime scene. Go investigate that." That's what I'm saying. And the whole scene when she got shut down, she was talking about the wrong stuff, got emotional. She blew it for herself. She should have just stuck to the facts, and then they had to investigate it. Send Rangers or something.
Right.
But it frustrates me.
You know what else
frustrates me? Deliberate, though.
Yeah, but you know what? The Rangers in Star Wars are like the Texas Rangers. That's what I imagine. Texas Rangers are badass. You know, they're really cool. They can go wherever they want, do whatever they want, get the job done, right? So that's what these Rangers are doing too. So they do have that freeway. But Hera, you're right. She should have gone along. Should have gone around it a different way. Gone about it a different way.
So Carson Teva, Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
He pulled out his hat or something. All right.
So, you know what else gets on my nerves? You know what else gets on my nerves? When Hu Yang made Ahsoka and Sabine promise to stay together as they head towards the map, because they encountered Shin and Marok together, and that was a nice touching moment when he tells them, "Promise me you'll stay together," because then Ahsoka and Sabine look at each other like, "Yes, we will," and they smiled. So that was kind of nice. But when they do encounter Shin and Marok in the Red Forest, they have that awesome lightsaber battle that ensues, and Sabine in her Mandalorian armor battles Shin, which, remember, we talked about how Sabine, when she first encountered Shin, she didn't have her armor. She was just trying to do it like a Jedi with a lightsaber, and she couldn't do it. And then we talked about how when she was training with Kanan, it wasn't until she used her So when she used her Mandalorian armor and her Mandalorian tricks, she was much more successsul. So in this instance,
that was against Ezra, not Kanan. She beat Kanan without the Mandalorian stuff.
Oh, right, against Ezra. But when what was it? Ren Rao told her to use these. Fen Rao gave her like the different Batman tools, right? The tool belt. Then which Mandalorians use. So use what you have.
Yeah. And that's when she beat Ezra, and that's when Kanan came in, said his thing, and then she shot him with that lasso, and he cut it. Like, this is not good. This is not enough. This is not going to be good enough. Like, he told her these things are only going to get you so far. They're not going to get you where you need to go.
But he was wrong, because she needs to embrace who she is, which is, because we look at Din Djarin, he can go up against Jedi too, or Inquisitors, and being a Mandalorian without being force sensitive. So I think he was wrong to tell her that.
Well, maybe training, it's different. Maybe fully master the lightsaber, then incorporate the other stuff. Don't lean on the other stuff. Yeah, I can see both ways on that one.
Yeah.
But I do have one comment. That lightsaber battles we saw, best lightsaber battles we've seen since Revenge of the Sith, maybe?
That's what I was going to say. Revenge of the Sith, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we got some real good lightsaber battles.
We sure did.
And I don't think we got that great lightsaber battles in the sequel trilogy. Did have the throne room scene, but they didn't have lightsabers. So, yeah, so it's probably the best lightsaber battle we've seen in a while. So I was really happy about that.
Me too. That
really
felt
good.
like real OG Star Wars for me.
Yeah, it was one of my notes. Great lightsaber scenes.
It was a Ratatouille. It was a Ratatouille moment for me that took me back to my 10-year-old self when I saw Star Wars in theaters back in 1977. So yes, loved it. Very authentic.
All right.
Very.
So. Oh, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to kind of move on to something where not yet. If you're going to stay on that.
Well, it's an extension to the lightsaber thing. The end of the Ahsoka Merrick.
Yeah.
Fight,
so that was my next thing.
Was straight out of Rebels. It was Maul versus Obi-Wan.
Yeah, just what, 2 swipes?
And the same move. It was pretty much the same move where we see it. But, man, like, Dave got us. I mean, like, he got us. There's no way around it. Merrick was nobody.
You know what I kept thinking? I kept thinking The Exorcist. I am no one. I am no one. Remember that scene in The Exorcist?
So it's funny because I heard a new theory right before the show came out. And it was a really dark theory and really a crazy theory and kind of deep cut theory. And it kind of was half true now that's happened. So somebody said that this is a resurrected fallen Jedi. I was like, what? I was like, well, who could do that? Like, well, this is the first time we've had a witch, one of the witches' death. They could probably resurrect. If anyone can resurrect, they can. So someone was saying this is a resurrected Kanan, so we can finally get the group together. I was like, man, that's dark, man. That's pretty dark.
No,
but
it's not Kanan.
Then after watching the episode, I was like, well, it's a resurrected somebody or something. There was bones. It was like, I don't think it was like a spirit. I think it was somebody, maybe fallen Inquisitor, fallen Jedi, fallen Sith, but I think it was resurrected by the Night Sisters.
What I have in my notes is that this is a direct tie to Jedi Battle Scars. So in Jedi Battle Scars, Merrin does accomplish the bringing back of the dead to help them fight, and she brings back a whole bunch of them at once to help them fight using her Night Sister magic, and they do magic with a K. So it's the Force. They just call it magic with a K. And so just the same way that Merrin was able to use the Night Sister magic to bring those dead, fallen soldiers back to life to fight for them, it's the same thing that this was Morgan Elsbeth's Night Sister magic to bring back Marok to fight for them, to be a mercenary. And so I like that connection to Jedi Battle Scars because it goes into a lot of detail in Battle Scars of how Merrin is able to do that. And this is also, to me, a parallel to when Luke defeats the Grand Inquisitor in Star Wars 2020 #6, after The Empire Strikes Back, when he gets his yellow lightsaber, using Verla's intel when he's on the hunt because he doesn't have a lightsaber. Remember, Vader cut his hand. He lost the lightsaber in his hand, so he needs a lightsaber. And in the interim, he gets this yellow one that he finds on Tempest. But when he gets to Tempest to find that lightsaber, he has an encounter with the Grand Inquisitor, who has been brought back after death to protect the lightsabers there on Tempest. And he battles Luke, and Luke at this time is not very strong in terms of being a Jedi, right? He's still learning, and even so, he's able to beat the Grand Inquisitor. So when Vader comes back, the Grand Inquisitor tells Vader, "You know what? Luke was strong, so strong," and that's a quote. And Vader keeps him trapped after death to serve him. And the Grand Inquisitor's like, there are things that are worse than death, and it's him being Vader's murder slave. But
Did Vader resurrect him?
Vader has him trapped using the Dark Force magic, I'm going to say.
So he was dead. So he resurrected him. He was dead. Him?
He has him trapped to not let him rest. And that is in Star Wars 2020 #6. That's a good episode, by the way, a good issue.
Well, I want to go back to what you said earlier about the Dathomir witches resurrecting. What you said, Jedi Battle Scars?
Battle Scars. That's the book, 2 games. So it's a book that bridges the first game to the second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What game?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
So this is between
Jedi Battle Scars is a
Episodes 3 and 4.
Oh, you mean it's between the
book.
games. Oh, yes.
Right, but the time.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't play too much of the games.
It's between 3 and 4. It's between 3 and 4.
Okay,
Episode
and so
3
there's
and 4, yeah.
All right. I thought by then all the Dathomir witches were dead, so it's cool that
they are. But remember, they're scattered, and she's one of the only survivors. And that's an issue that they discuss in Battle Scars. How she's losing her magic because the farther she is from Dathomir, the less her power is. But then
isn't she one of the characters in the game? I don't remember that.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
Yeah, Cal takes her away from. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? In that game too, there was that old man that he fights that looks kind of like, what's his name? The old buff man in Jedi Survivor.
No, it was in Fallen Order.
In Fallen Order, right? When he's on that planet where he meets Marin, and he's also,
I can't remember his name. He used to be a Jedi.
He's super buff and he's older, so he kind of reminded me of Balin's character. You know, super big, imposing, muscular guy.
Okay. All right, let's get back on track here. That's really cool, though. I pretty much figured it's a resurrected, and he kind of confirmed it with that has happened before with the Night Sister. So, kind of what it is. Yeah, Filoni got us. That guy.
Weasel.
Terran Malicos.
Yes, Malicos. That's right.
So, the fight. Do you want to do the Sabine fight, or do you want to attack the Ahsoka fight next? Or just the Sabine fight? Then we'll work our way up to
Sabine fight first, then the Ahsoka fight. Yes.
Yeah, I thought, like you said, she had her armor and she was super brave. She was the aggressor. I thought that was cool. She went right after her, so that was pretty cool. She got disarmed pretty quickly. It's going to happen against an experienced force wielder. But then she didn't hesitate with her lightsaber. So that was really cool. And then she ended up winning with her Mandalorian, I guess, wits.
Dart.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
I like
that.
Is that
a whistling bird? You think that was a whistling bird or just a normal
But it was
bird?
one. It was just one. Because whistling birds have lots. But you know what? The thing about that is that I don't think Shin realized that she didn't have any force powers. I think Shin was expecting her to have some force abilities.
Oh, yeah. When she went like that.
When she put her hand up, Shin braced herself and she's like, "You have no power." And then when she was caught off guard, that's when Sabine goes, "Bam!" And just like shoots her, and that's what got her. Because she doesn't have any force power, but Shin didn't know that. She thought because she was a Padawan, like she's a Padawan. It's like that coal miner joke, right? The two coal miners see each other. The one guy looks at the other one, his face is super clean, so he just goes to bed. The one super clean face sees the other one super dirty, and he goes and he washes his face because they each think they look like the other one. So Sabine and Shin thought that Sabine was like her, a Padawan with force abilities, and it wasn't until that moment that she realized that she has no force powers. So that was pretty cool. But she was still able to beat her, so I like that.
And then we finally get the big duel that we've been waiting for, and it did not disappoint. One thing I was going to say, she finally took off that tattered cloak she's been wearing. Every time she fights, she wears that cloak until this fight. So I'm just glad. It just looked terrible. I don't like it. It looked like a bag lady. I'm just glad she didn't have it no more. So,
she looked homeless. Yeah. She looked homeless.
I don't like it. I thought it was a trope to make the fights look different with the waving material like a cape. So I thought that was really uninventive. But
like Batman's cape.
This fight, but this fight, this is cool. I did kind of question why she only used one lightsaber the whole time. I don't know why don't pull out the second one. But Balin, man, he's got it, and he fights like you would imagine a guy using a longsword, just power. He's just like
a halberd.
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 Like leaning into it. She's like, just all she can do is try and parry it off. He's just dropping the hammer.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
Same, kind of like Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker at the Death Star scene where he's with Rey, because Rey had her. There were a couple like choreography there that reminded me exactly of that scene of when Kylo's beating down on Rey. Balin's doing the same with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's putting up like her hand, uses her hand, force hand, just like Rey did, and Kylo did. So there's some.
But she also put up her foot. She put her foot back against the hinge to give her to brace
that was
herself
cool.
more.
Yeah,
that was really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
But Balin didn't disappoint. I was wondering, like, is she gonna be like how she just dominated Merrick? Is it gonna be? No, I think he won fairly. I don't think she was a little.
Oh yeah,
blocked, but he had her beat. I think so.
Because he wasn't even breaking a sweat. He's somebody to look out for.
Yeah, so I was definitely.
He only had her beat. He only had her beat after she burnt her hand on the map, taking it out. Then she was in so much pain that she couldn't wield her lightsaber with 2. She was down to 1. And that's when he was able to take advantage. Because she was
he was holding his own against her from the beginning. So I would say they were a fair matchup. It's not that he's weaker than her. They're at least an equal power. Because she did not take him out easily. Actually, she didn't take him out at all.
Well, I don't think her goal was to take him out. I think her goal was just to get the map and stop them from doing what they're doing. I think that was her goal. I don't think her goal was to beat him or kill him or anything like that.
Oh, I did say here. Remember one part about their encounter? He said Anakin spoke highly of you or something like that. He
yes.
The way he worded it was like he's had conversations with Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
The way I took it, I'm like, either that or Anakin. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. So that's really cool.
That was cool. And he did clarify. He did clarify that everyone knew Anakin because Anakin was the rock star of the Clone Wars, right? So, and Balin was around at that time, so he remembers. And so everyone knew Anakin. Even if Anakin didn't know all the other Jedi, all the Jedi knew him. So that's for sure.
And then he followed it up, and that was so much of a comment that was directed towards Ahsoka and himself. What he said, very few lived to see what he would become. Right? That was directed to her, but also I know who he is too. Or who he was.
He was Vader, right?
Right.
So he pretty much throws her off, which I thought was pretty interesting.
You know what I thought? I thought all of that
was move.
I thought it was all psychological manipulation to weaken her, the same way that like in we're watching the U.S. Open, and in tennis they do it all the time. They just want to make the other player upset or angry to get them off their game. And I think Balin was trying to do the same thing to her, try to throw out all these like emotional scars to get her off her game.
Yeah, it's something that a weapon villains tend to use a lot. You'll see it a million times. A villain just starts saying stuff to make the hero doubt themselves or get emotional.
Which we see.
Fight or something.
We see Balin do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we can talk about Sabine kind of following her heart, you can say it as, or you can say it as risking the galaxy.
Palpatine. She also got Palpatine. Balin came right out and said, do it.
Yeah. And she had that, when you saw her face, she had that what have I done expression, it was.
Here we go.
Yeah, frozen Mike. So I think part of it was that she saw Ahsoka go over the edge, and she assumed I'm by myself, and I have 2, Force users. I don't stand a chance. But I think she also has a master plan behind, like, okay, well, if
Anakin again.
Oh. Mike, you back? No, he's not back.
He's not back. But I think that was her way. I think she is like, well, if I give in and I give them back the map, I get aboard. Maybe they'll take me aboard, and I can still
play along. I mean, you can always sabotage later. That's an option. Yep. Play along, sabotage later. I did catch something he said to her, which I didn't know. Maybe you guys know from books. I know it didn't happen in Rebels or Clone Wars, but he said, your family's dead. I was like, in Clone Wars, her family's alive. So you said your family died at Mandalore, so I'm thinking the Night of 1,000 Tears or whatever. That's really not. Maybe her family died then. Like, that sucks.
like when Moff Gideon was saying something like that.
Yeah, he said your family died in Mandalore. I'm like, oh, that's kind of new because when we left her family, they were all alive. Even though Mandalore's pretty tore up, they were alive.
Yeah, he said
so,
your family. But he made. Sorry, guys, I got pumped out. But he made the connection that her family was killed because Ahsoka did not trust her. So
yeah, there was something there. I didn't quite get
something. Remember, I said something happened between them.
I remember, Mike.
Am I glitchy?
Very glitchy right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike's facial expression hasn't changed. It's in a good spot, though, Mike. You're frozen really well.
So yeah, that was really interesting catch. I guess one of the last things I had to say was we got to see the Eye of Sign. Oh, there it is, Mike. Did you have any comment on the Sabine family dying? Now that you're back.
Yeah, just that he did. He convinced her by reminding her that her family was killed on Mandalore because Ahsoka did not trust her. He said that line explicitly. So something.
We're gonna have to get backstory.
Ahsoka had something to do because, and then I know we're gonna get something, but even from the beginning, I thought, you know what, something happened between them. There's bad blood, something happened, and you had said, well, yeah, something happened. You know, Ahsoka saw Anakin became Darth Vader. I said, no, but something happened between Ahsoka and Sabine, and this is leading more towards that story.
Yeah, pretty much I got something happened between them from earlier. I just didn't quite know much, but now I'm finding out something happened between them that maybe led to the death of her family, which is way huger than just abandoning her, kind of what I got from the whole hog. So if something did happen, some rift between them, and it could have maybe connected dots, I don't think directly, but connected dots to maybe family passing away, that'd be a little rough. So I'd like to see a little more. We finally got to see the ISIN with takeoff, which is pretty bad. Very cool. I don't know if I can say, but really cool. Really awesome to see that. Did like a flew around the incoming ships. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, caused a pretty big like wake, I guess. Kind of weird, cool, like how they went into hyperspace, but they almost went into like a different, to bring up like Spaceballs, like they went into ludicrous speed, right? Like they went flat. So that's like what I mean. You know what I mean, though? Like it showed that, and then there was the blue, and then there was another color when they took off. I thought it went through like 3 phases because they're not just traveling hyperspace, like they're jumping.
They're super hyperspace.
Yeah.
Super duper hyperspace.
But I'm wondering too, go ahead, John.
I would say I could definitely see them adding a little flair, especially the graphics on something like that. I mean, just earlier last episode when they're shooting the shields with the lasers on the ships, you saw a little like smoke and puffs. They usually didn't have that before, but they did have shields. So I think they're maybe adding a little bit more to it, making it look a little bit better. So I can see them adding more, especially since it is
but maybe
ludicrous speed.
Yeah.
We got
what I was gonna say.
Then we got the saying from Jason, I got a bad feeling. I don't think he said about this, though. I think he said, I got a bad feeling. He didn't say, I got a bad feeling about this, which is the traditional line.
I couldn't remember. I just know he said the bad feeling, and that was one of those realization moments for Hera, too. It was like, okay, he has the force.
She looked at the camera and said, he said it! No. But So, okay, let's try and do final thoughts. See if we can get through final thoughts right now. All right, final thoughts, Bryce.
Without me disappearing.
You try. Maybe we should let Mike go first before he freezes again. Go, Mike.
All right.
Yeah, now that I'm
Mike,
here.
Final
thoughts. This was my favorite episode of the 4 parts we've seen so far, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode 5 because it's going to be directed by Dave Filoni himself. So I'm expecting big things. I hope it doesn't let me down. I'm sure he won't. I have faith in the Filoni. So really excited about this series. I'm glad it didn't flop. 5 holocrons.
We're not doing that.
Well, I did it.
End of the series. I don't want to rate it till I read. I'm in the wrong mode until we watch the whole series.
Right.
I can read it.
Right.
Because I would have rated it high after the first 2 episodes parts. I would have rated it high. So it's definitely ramping up for me. So, all right, I'll just do mine real quick. Almost identical to Mike's best part so far of this series. Best lightsabers fight we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I love Balin. I want so much more of Balin. It's
Me too.
Real sad what happened to him. I'm super excited. I'm glad we got more of the Rangers. I just want more of everything. This is what I want the show to be, and we got more of it. And obviously, our boy Hayden Christensen's there. We'll see where that leads to, and we're really excited about next week's episode.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite too. I've enjoyed all of them. Like I said, the first 2 I enjoyed. I know more than you, Jonathan. And then 3 was the dip for me. And then knowing I knew 4 we were in for something big. And 4 I just wasn't expecting. I think what we got. But I'm very happy. I'm kind of excited to see what next week is going to bring. I feel like we're going to continue right where we left off. In World Between Worlds, and Hayden and Ahsoka taking a good chunk of that. I'm not sure we'll see much of Morgan and everyone else, Morgan and Balin next episode because they're in hyperspace, heading to another galaxy. I don't even know if we would see them, to be honest, unless we see something about Sabine and trying to either figure out how to get a signal back to Hera to know where she's at, or but I feel we're gonna get heavy Hayden, heavy Ahsoka, and we'll get some Rangers and Hera because I do believe there was footage of her on Cetos at one point looking through stuff, so I think we'll get some of that next week.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be looking for anybody because Ahsoka's in the World Between Worlds. And
Wang to the rescue. Wang to the rescue.
All right, guys. Just really appreciate everyone watching. If you have any comments, please leave them in the thread below. We would love to get to them. Really appreciate you guys watching. Please, let me restart this so it's easier to see. All right, please make sure and follow us on YouTube, Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram at Virtual Cantina Network, on Twitter at Cantina Virtual, and Threads at Virtual Cantina Network, on Hive at Virtual Cantina, and on TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And all this is underneath the main page, which is the Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 Facebook group. So go there. That's our home base. Then you can spread out for there, what you like, but that's where you get most of your information.
And make sure that you check out the rest of the shows on the YouTube channel. Make sure you smash the smash the notification button so when we do go live or drop a show, you get notified. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel.
Thank you guys for watching.
May the force be with you all. Here's my Ahsoka.
May the force be with you.
Oh, that Mike with the cool orange juice cup.